What do Germany's trade unions hope the new year will bring? In the interview, IG Metall Engineering Union Chairman Detlef Wetzel.
Mr. Wetzel, Germany has a new government, a grand coalition of conservatives and social democrats. Is that a cause for joy for a trade unionist like you?
Basically, it's all the same to us. What is important for us are the policies the Grand Coalition has and what issues the new government will address. And there are a few points which we find interesting and which we believe are heading in the right direction.
Are your issues being addressed?
Some of them are. We're very happy that the abuse of temporary work is being addressed so that more workers will be covered by wage agreements. I think it's good that people can retire at 63 on a full pension. And it's good that the disability pension will be improved. So there are some good aspects. But there are some things we don't like. We wanted more investment in education and in infrastructure. And we wanted to see more movement in society. But there are some good things, and we hope that the new government will act decisively.
So a package of social measures which some people say is going to cost a considerable amount of money. Business groups say these are steps backward and that reforms are grinding to a halt in Germany. What would you say to that?
To be honest, that's nonsense. The government is trying to correct distortions and end the abuses which have appeared on the labour market in recent years. Short-term contracts, temporary work, work contracts and other abuses of labour policy. And as far as pensions go, I can only say that there needs to be a reward for a lifetime of work. I'm shocked at conservatives who ignore how much work older people have done. If you've paid pension contributions all your life, you should be entitled to a full pension at 63.
Some say it's unaffordable. Can Germany afford it?
Well, if one of the richest countries in the world can't afford to spend a little on its pensioners, if it can't limit the abuse of temporary work, work contracts and low pay, then I don't know. Germany is facing a fundamental question. The wealth created has been unequally distributed in the past 10 years, and it's time that balance was shifted.
When you talk about wealth created, you mean that the rich are getting richer and the poor poorer? Or what do you mean?
Germany is a great and rich country, but wealth is divided very unequally. Those with a lot are getting more and more, and those with little are getting less and less. There's a huge gulf in German society. That's partly due to labour market issues such as low pay and limited contracts. Every fourth worker in Germany is in the low-pay sector. Tax policy in the past decade has favoured the top 10,000, and it would be good if the government would make sure there's a little more justice in Germany.
So as a trade unionist, you want higher wages?
In the engineering, electronics and chemical industries, wages are highest. But wage levels have developed differently in the service industries. In part, Germany is, in international terms, a low-wage nation. That has to change. Domestic industries cannot continue to pay such poor wages. Carers, social workers, people who work in education and training, people who do the cleaning. All the service sectors pay miserable wages in Germany. And we have to try to change that.
But some people say that's the only way Germany can stay competitive.
That's a fallacy. If you look, you see that the export-oriented industries, engineering, electronics, chemicals, the ones that compete on the international stage are the ones that pay the highest wages. So you can see certain interests are behind that argument. The industries that only face domestic competition in Germany have the lowest wages. The export-oriented ones that face international competition have the highest wages. German products aren't bought abroad because they're the cheapest, it's because they're the best. That's Germany's model for success. Better products, not cheaper products.
Bessere Produkte und nicht billige Produkte zu schaffen.
The old Chancellor is the new Chancellor. Why should anything change?
Personally, I can only hope that the influence of the Social Democrats is big enough to overcome the stagnation we had in 4 years of centre-right government. The SPD has introduced some good points to the government's policy agenda. So I hope there'll be some movement in Germany and that we can iron out some of the biggest social injustices. I'm counting on the SPD's influence on the Chancellor.
The Social Democrats wanted a lot more originally, so aren't you a little disappointed?
No, I'm not. If you want more influence, you need more than 25% of the vote. So given the SPD's share of the vote, what the leadership has achieved in the new government is okay.
What kind of wage increases are you expecting?
It depends on the economic situation. We expect to see some strong growth in Germany next year. At IG Metall, we're not presenting our wage demands until the end of next year. It's a bit early to present clear demands, but I can say that if growth is strong, then wage increases will be high, or higher.
When the SPD is in government, the unions aren't usually quick to go on strike. Is that true?
That's not true at all. There are aspects of government policy which we think are good, and we'll make sure that they are implemented. But some issues are being dealt with poorly in our view. So as a union, we'll put pressure on whoever is in power to make sure the issues we consider important become policy.
So what is bad?
I've already mentioned education. We wanted more investment in education, in research and development. We want a lot more investment in infrastructure. And we wanted more done on social issues, especially the work contracts that are spreading like cancer. The government is only planning to make more information available to works councils. We want them to have more voting rights, so we do want some improvements.
Work contracts means there are first and second class workers. Can you explain that to our viewers?
And maybe even third class. We have nothing against a work contract if there's a hole in the roof and you hire a roofer. We criticize work contracts when they're used to bring in poorly paid people to do jobs that were paid well.
Outsourcing.
Outsourcing. Some activities are moved elsewhere, and the workers who come and do the job earn 40 or 50% less than was paid before. If work contracts are used to get around decent pay and proper wage agreements, then we say that should not be allowed to happen. You can't just change the terms of a wage contract and have people do the same job but pay them a lot less.
But these kinds of work contracts exist in the industries you are active in, such as the car industry. Are there first, second and third class workers, people who do the same work but earn different wages?
Yes, there are. There are full-time workers paid according to the wage scales negotiated with the unions. Then there are the temporary workers who do the same job and, thanks to the deals we've negotiated, are better off than they were, but earn less than the full-timers. Then there are the people on work contracts who earn miserable pay. There are three classes of employee, and we at IG Metall are fighting that.
Companies say they need the flexibility and can't afford to pay everyone the same high wages. What would you say to them?
I'd say they're absolutely wrong. The German car industry is the most successful in the world. And it's not the most successful because they make the cheapest cars, it's because they make the best. The car industry makes huge profits, and engineering firms make huge profits. Germany can indeed afford to pay everyone properly because our successful model is based on exporting good products, not cheap ones. German industry can pay equal wages for equal work. They don't want to, because they want to make even more profit. And IG Metall tries to counter that.
German car makers sell more abroad than in Germany. Why shouldn't German cars be manufactured in China to save even more wage costs? It's happening already.
It's happening, and IG Metall has got nothing against the industry following the markets. It's a normal development, and there's still enough left over for Germany in the way of manufacturing plants and research and development and the organization of the entire process. We have nothing against that. But we are opposed to outsourcing purely as a cost-cutting measure. Manufacturing is not outsourced to China to save money. That's happening in Germany. Production is outsourced to a different company, which works at the same factory and which does the same job, but pays its workers 40 or 50% less. That's what we criticize.
You mentioned research and development. Why is that so important?
As an export nation, Germany has to be that much better if it's that much more expensive. Incomes are high in Germany, as they are in other developed nations. We have to offer value to the customer, technological developments, innovations in machines and products. That's why it's so important that we invest in research and development. We have to make our products and our production processes better. It's not about being cheap. There will always be another country that can make simple products cheaper than we can. We need to be better.
So investment in R&D is investment in the future of Germany.
And that's the fundamental criticism we have of the new government. It's investing too little in the future.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.